Hey everyone, Eric Rios here. So glad you're back. We're going to talk about how can I get my business to $1 million? How can I grow my business to $1 million a year? That's a big question. Only 5% of businesses, between 5 and 6% of businesses ever actually reach $1 million a year in gross revenue. That means 95 to 94% of business will never reach $1 million in gross revenue. And that's pretty common, especially in the small business industry. But the question is how can I grow mine to $1 million a year? It's not as hard to do as you think it might be. It can happen, and I like to work with service-based businesses, service-based industries, and that's what I like to focus on. So it could be a plumbing company, electrical company, HVAC company, a house cleaning company, a power washing company. There's a lot of different kinds of business that are service-based, which is what I love to work with. So these different kinds of businesses can get to $1 million a year. Junk removal is a good one. My son owns a junk removal company. Getting to $1 million a year is 100% possible. We're going to talk about just 5 different ways to get yourself there. It's not as hard as you think it is, but it's just going to take work. It's not always the easiest thing to do. Now, some businesses, it's a lot easier because you can charge a lot higher prices. Therefore, your numbers can go a lot higher very quicker. It's just really simple because numbers are just different. If you're cleaning houses, you're only charging, $200 a house. Well, it's going to take a lot more to do that at that point. But if you're doing like HVAC, where you're charging maybe $20,000 for a whole system setup, well, then you could do 5 in a week, a whole system setups, and then you're at $100,000, and just like that, you can be at $1 million. So every business is going to be different as to how you get there, but there is a simple process to do it. So first of all, look at your business. What kind of business are you in specifically? Are you in the kind of business that can charge higher ticket prices? You can charge, or is it going to all be lower ticket prices? What kind of business are you specifically in? Now, I've taken 2 plumbing companies to 7 figures in 3 years and 4 years. My first one was 4 years. My second one was 3 years. And I always worked slow to go fast. I could have done it in 1 year, but I never wanted to stress myself any more than I needed to because I had raised 6 kids and I wanted to make sure I give myself that time to manage well with my kids and my family. So the thing is look at your business and ask yourself, in this business, can I hit $1 million a year? And I can assure you that in any business you can. There's no doubt in my mind at all. It's about how you go about doing it. There's a house cleaning company right next to my office. They have 9 trucks. I mean, seriously, they have 9 cars that are all labeled, and they are doing $1 million plus a year. So you can do it in many, many, many different kinds of businesses. I've known people in all businesses that I've ever talked to them about, they've done those things. Mechanic, diesel mechanic, auto mechanic. I mean, once we're talking blue collar workers, service-based businesses, this is what we're talking about, okay? Figure out your business, look at the structure that it has and what it's doing and how it's doing it and the pricing that you're having. And you can just sort of multiply those things. Well, if you're only charging $200 a day, then you need $1,000 a day, and that's what you're making is $1,000 a day, and you're working 5 days a week. That's $5,000 a week. So you can just sort of multiply the numbers to figure out, well, if I'm only doing $5,000 a day, then I can be, or a week, then $20,000 a month, $240,000 a year. Then I need 5 different trucks going or 5 different crews going out to hit that $1 million a year based on what you're doing. Now, those numbers are just skewed. They're just simple examples, but it's a simple way to look at it. In plumbing, we always looked at it like this, that a service technician could generate between $350,000 to $600,000 in gross revenue in a year. So we could have literally 2 plumbing technicians who are really, really, really good at selling jobs, doing things, doing bigger ticket items. They could easily just hit $1 million a year in revenue. In the HVAC is the same way. But we always looked at the average, which was around geographical area. So that was when we know we needed at least 3 technicians to be able to hit that $1 million mark. So you can just sort of figure out in your business specifically is how much do you make per year in revenue by yourself. If you're just a singular owner and you want to hit $1 million a year, then you may need to hire 1 employee, 2 employees, 3 employees, 4 employees, whatever it ends up being. Okay, so your services, let's look at your services. Your services that you offer and provide are going to be a key factor in helping you hit that $1 million a year process. That $1 million a year goal can be hit depending on your services. So if you're all low ticket, it's going to take you more to do. But if you have low ticket, you need to figure out how you can add medium ticket and higher ticket pricing things inside your services. Create packages. Packages are a great way to do this. I was talking to a gal one day and we were talking about her photography business. And I asked her, I said, what do you charge? She goes, well, I charge $60 a session. And I'm like, holy shit, $60 a session. That's all you charge? And she said, yeah, that's all I charge. I'm like, really? So how much money are you actually making off of that? She goes, I don't really know. So I said, let's break it down. So by the time we were done breaking everything down for the time it took her 3 hours to do the editing, it took her an hour to get, to do the session. Then it took her half an hour to get to the session, half an hour to get home. She had 5 hours in it. She was at $12 an hour. We took out her computer costs, her fuel costs, her vehicle costs, all the things that she should have put into this cost. She was down to around $3 an hour. So the point is what we did was we showed her how to create packages in her business. We created a low package, a middle package, and a higher end package. Now she could sell more higher end packages where she could do 3 or 4 a week and she could hit those marks. But the goal is you're going to have to scale by having employees. It's never going to work without employees. Our junk removal company that my son owns, he could take that to $1 million a year, but he knows he's going to have at least 3 trucks to hit that margin. Or if he doesn't have it, he's only got 2 trucks. Well, if you're doing 2 trucks only, well, then you're going to have to do a lot more services and have higher price packages in order to hit those marks. So we try to look at the basics and the averages is what I like to look at is if you're only averaging this, let's base it on an average. That way, if we know we need to hire employees, we want to hit that mark. We need 2 employees, 3 employees, 4 employees, whatever we end up needing. So figure out what your services are and increase those services, create packages for your clients to buy and create higher end packages because people will pay for them all day long. People pay a lot of money for a lot of things that don't tell me they don't because for photography, I was at my friend's wedding and she paid $12,000 for the photographer. So don't tell me they don't pay a lot more. They do pay a lot more. Maybe they just don't pay you yet. You're just not there yet. Okay, so next one is price. Just make sure you get your pricing right. Get your pricing right, and that makes all the difference in the world. If you don't have your pricing right, your business will always struggle. Always know your cost of doing business based on your business expenses. If you don't know your cost of doing business based on your business expenses, make sure you figure these things out. These things are important. Figure out your cost of doing business because it's going to help you very quickly grow to where you need to be. Because if you're undercharging everybody that you're doing business with, well, you're never going to grow. You're never going to get to where you want to be. You're always going to be in a place of struggle. So make sure you're always figuring out your cost of business. But you say, well, how do you do that? Well, you can go talk to your accountant, go talk to a CPA, go talk to the person who does your taxes. Say, hey, look, I need help figuring out my cost of business so I know how much to properly charge for my services that I offer to my clients. And don't be afraid to be on the higher end. If you know you can provide phenomenal value, exceptional service, 5-star review value, then make sure you charge more for your services. It's okay to charge more. It's okay to be more expensive. You don't have to be the cheapest. Being the cheapest is the dumbest thing you could ever do. Don't be the cheapest. Learn to be something that's a little higher priced, higher value, because it's really good for you and for your business. It really makes a difference. Okay, next one, employees. I don't know any business who scales without employees. It's very challenging. In any service-based industry, it requires employees to scale a business to a certain place. If you own a roofing company, well, guess what? You're going to have to have roofing crews in order to do the job so you can grow. If it's just you by yourself, well, you can only do so many things because you're selling your time for dollars. You're selling your time that you have when you don't have a lot of time. You only have 24 hours like everybody else is. So if you're just selling your time only, well, it's going to be more challenging to hit $1 million a year. You're going to have to hire some employees, hire some crews, subcontractors, whatever it is to hit that $1 million mark as a service-based business. You're going to have these people. Well, don't say, well, they just can't do it as good as me. Well, maybe they can't do it as good as you, but train them to be almost as good as you. It really works. It's not that hard. Train employees to be great, just like yourself. And I promise you, you'll find that it's going to get a lot easier for you to hit that $1 million mark. Hitting the $1 million mark is a pretty cool thing. I got to be honest. The first time I ever hit it was, I want to say November of 2012. It was the coolest thing ever. It was the day before Thanksgiving. It was cool. I hit $1 million. I'm like, holy shit, I hit $1 million in revenue. That was the coolest thing for me ever because I had never done nothing like that ever. And I set my goals. My goal was only $500,000 a year and I hit $1 million. It was a life changer. It was like, holy shit. Then each year I just kept growing. That was the cool thing about it. So figure out your employees, figure out how you're going to get them. These are going to help you grow and scale your business. They make all the difference. Employees are phenomenal to have. They make your life better. It's just up to you to make it a great environment for them to be, a great culture for them to be in, and make them want to be there with you. You serve your employees, and they'll serve your customers at their highest level. Okay, last one, systems. Systems make all the difference. Every franchise you go into, the one thing that you buy is a system. You buy a systematic approach to doing business. They say, well, if you want to hit 1 million a year, 2 million a year, 5 million a year, 10 million a year, there is a systematic process to hit each of those numbers. And those things change every time you do something, but the systems are going to be what gets you to where you want to go in the shortest amount of time possible. Because if you don't have systems, you're going to always struggle. You can't always wing it. You need a system in place that allows you to grow your business in a very quick way. It makes all the difference. You just have to figure out what those systems are for your personal business. So I'm not going to tell you how to make systems yet, because I don't know your personal business that you are in. But I know that if you know you need this much in marketing, this much in this much in this much in this, in order to achieve X amount of dollars, well, then you know you can reproduce it and redo it and redo it and redo it. And you're just duplicating the same thing over and over and over and over. That's the point of hiring employees is, you know, if one crew is doing X, you know, you can hire another crew and they'll do Y, another crew and they'll do Z. So you know that each one's going to be reproducing X amount of dollars based on an average. The goal is to get that average up to a much higher level, and it makes all the difference in the world. So getting to $1 million, is it hard? No, it's not hard. It's just a matter of just figuring out some simple approaches, some systems, some processes. And I promise you, it's going to help you get there in a lot shorter amount of time possible, but it's not going to be easy. If anybody tells you it's easy, they're full of shit. Being in business can be the most challenging thing you've ever faced in your entire life. So be willing to just commit to the process, commit to building systems, commit to hiring smarter people than yourself. If you can, hire a business coach. I mean, I hired my first coach in 2011. I generated an additional $500,000 a year just from that $25,000 investment. So I've spent the money on hiring smart people to help me grow, build systems, build processes. All these things can make a difference in your life. They really do. So don't make it so hard. Okay, look, we talk about business, figure out what kind of business you're in, your services, try to create good packages that you can have a low, medium, and high package. You can sell a lot more high packages than you probably think. Your price, make sure your price is based on your cost of doing business and your goals of where you want to be. Your employees, make sure you hire good employees. Hire fast. We always say hire slow, fire fast. If they're not working out, just get rid of them. Move them on to a better place so they can be successful. Don't drag them along. And of course, systems. Create systems and processes in your business. And I promise you, it is going to change every way you do business. And it's going to help you tremendously. And it can help you not to be so stressed. I could always go on vacation every time because I had systems and processes in place that allowed the business to run whether I was there or not. So once again, my name is Eric Rios. I'm so glad you listened to this video. If you ever need help with your business, reach out to me. You can text me on my cell phone, 314-591-0479. I can't wait to hear from you. Have a great day.